312 too. Seven two. Just sing a little bit here. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadari Jasodanandana Prajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Prajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, we'll be reading from the third canto, chapter 27, verse number 2. Sa esha yarhi prakritir guneshvabi vishajate ahankriya vimudatma kartasmitya biminyate Saisha Yarhi Prakriter Guneshvyabi Vishajate Ahankriya Vimudatma Kartasmitya Bimanyate. Any ladies? All right, word for word. Sa, that very living entity. Esha, this. Yarhi, when. Prakriti, of material nature. Guneshu, in the modes. Abhivashayachate, is absorbed. Ahankriya, by false ego. Vimuda, bewildered. Atma, the individual soul. Karta, the doer. Ashmi, I am. Iti, Thus, abhimanyate, he thinks. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. When the soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as the self, he becomes absorbed in material activities, and by the influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the proprietor of everything. Purport. Actually, the conditioned soul is forced to act under the pressure of the modes of material nature. The living entity has no independence. When he is under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is free. But when, under the impression that he is satisfying his senses, he engages in sense gratificatory activities, he is actually under the spell of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Prakriti Kriyamanani. One acts according to the particular modes of nature he has acquired. Guna refers to the qualities of nature. He is under the qualities of nature, but he falsely thinks that he is the proprietor. This false sense of proprietorship can be avoided simply by engaging oneself in devotional service under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his bona fide representative. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita was trying to accept for himself the responsibility for killing his grandfather and teacher in the fight, but he became freed from that proprietorship of action when he acted under the direction of Krishna. He fought, but he was actually freed from the reactions of fighting. Although in the beginning, when he was nonviolent, unwilling to fight, the entire responsibility was upon him. This is the difference between liberation and conditioning. A conditioned soul may be very good and act in the mode of goodness, but still he is conditioned under the spell of material nature. A devotee, however, acts completely under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Thus, his actions may not appear to be of a very high quality to the common man, but the devotee has no responsibility. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gina Gina Shalakaya Chakshur Omalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shra Shri Rupa Sangajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I offer my obeisances to you again and again. You are continually and consistently opening my eyes with the torchlight of your knowledge, offering my respectful obeisances again and again. Dear Srila Prabhupada, all assembled devotees, Mitrasena Prabhu, I pray that you may pray that something can be said in this class that is of relevance in your lives today, and that you may carry with you and that may support you in your spiritual growth. Hare Krishna. So I need to move this away. I need to move it to the side. I need a prop here. Can you just put it on the chair? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So I chose this verse because I'm very interested in how to deepen our Krishna consciousness, because bhakti is very deep and it's really not cheap. It's a precious jewel, and it's an open secret. It's all written. You can even take an open book test, but that doesn't mean that you've made it back to Godhead, just because we know the answers from the book. Because Krishna consciousness is within us. It's not something that we put on the top. So, oftentimes, and even in this verse, it was talking about misidentification with the body. And so we all know we are not this body. We all know this. However, I'd like to say that it's not really this physical body that gives us really trouble. Because the physical body is pretty cool the way Krishna designed it. It breathes automatically. I don't even have to think about it, although when I do think about it, it's pretty amazing. It breathes, the heart beats all by itself, the body digests food, regulates levels of sugar, evacuates. It's pretty self-sufficient. Krishna made a really good machine here. So this machine is not what usually trips us up. It's the subtle body. It's the subtle coverings that we can't really see or identify because we're kind of covered by them. And these are the things that actually give us challenges. Now, I brought a prop here to help us out. So, as we're all Prakriti, this refers to all of you, even though you're in men's body. Actually, we're all Prakriti. And she's wearing the appropriate orange color. So this is a representation of a devotee. Here she is. She's got her tilak and her bead back. And this is, as a devotee, who we want everybody to see us being. Look at me. I am a good devotee. I chant my rounds. I wear my tilak. I'm pakka, right? So this devotee, oftentimes we are underneath this external appearance of a devotee. We find another layer. So here is the pakka, first-class devotee that we want everyone to understand that, look at me, I'm a devotee. Now this is a part of us that has brought us to Krishna consciousness. This is the producing part of us and this is the part that maybe has helped us to get a career, come to the base, maybe join the ashram. This is the part of us that is our strengths. This is some of our strengths and wonderful talents that we've developed throughout our life. And underneath this part of us lies the part that maybe people who know us a little bit better, and they know that we have, a few little issues or things that we're working on, but, it's just subtle things like maybe I'm late, or maybe I'm not good with time, or maybe I eat fast, or little things like that. Just slight little habits that we might have that may not be so perfect. Now, underneath that persona, these are aspects of ourself, is the part of us that maybe, our parents, our siblings, people who have known us for a long time. They know a little bit more about us. And, we can't really hide from them because they've seen us over time and they know, oh my gosh, you are this and you're doing that thing again and you get so angry and blah, blah, blah. And they know that about us. Now, underneath that layer is another part of us, which maybe we know about us, and we're not very proud of it, the things that we hide. And maybe we know it, and maybe one other person might know us, maybe a mentor or a best friend, but nobody else really knows this about us. And we keep it very well concealed under these other layers. These are all subtle bodies. These are all parts of our subtle body. Now, this part of us is the part that we don't even know about us. The things that we don't even know. They're habits that we have that are unconscious, but we haven't really named them. And beliefs that we have about ourselves that maybe we don't even know. They're in the unconscious part of our consciousness, of our brain. Now, underneath that part, I hope I'm going to get this straight here. This part is our past samskaras from last life that we're still carrying around because they came with us in this life. So these are the past samskaras which we may not know about either. We may not know what happened in our past life, but we do carry things from our subtle body from our last life, and we carry them. Okay, there's another layer. Oh my gosh, how many layers are there? Jeez. Okay, this layer is the initial material energy. When we come to the material world, we become immediately covered. And I'm going to read a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, text number 2. Brahma first created the nescient engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. So that's this part. Immediately when we come to the material energy, Lord Brahma created the illusory covering because we can't even come to this world unless we deceive ourselves that we're not a part of Krishna. We have to be deceiving ourselves, otherwise we couldn't even come and engage in the material world. And underneath all of that is our little soul, our soul. That's kind of suffocating under all these layers. Now, sometimes we think this is Krishna consciousness. This is it. I've got it. I've got all the stuff. I've got all the markings. I am a devotee. And I'd like to say actually that here's the devotee. Deep inside, the soul that's already pure, whole and complete the way Krishna made it, and is covered by many layers. So let's work our way back here. Here's the soul, pure soul. Here we are. When we think about a child. Children are much more in their soul body, especially when they're very young. They're much more in their soul body because they haven't quite landed in their body yet. So what are the qualities, some qualities of children? What are some qualities of children that we notice? Go ahead. They're honest. Yeah, they don't really know how to lie. And if they're lying, you can tell. So, no, I didn't do that. You can tell. They're not really. Go ahead. So what else? I'm sorry? Innocence. Yes, they're very innocent, very simple. You know, they don't know how to manipulate, or they're just very innocent. Did you want to say something here? Go ahead. Sensitive. They're very sensitive. They're very much on a feeling level. They're not on a thinking level. They don't know how to figure out the world. They can feel emotions. They feel the environment, and they respond to the environment with their feelings, and they express their feelings openly. They don't suppress their feelings or hide their feelings. They just come out with it. What were you going to say? Simplicity. They're very simple. Now, when you think about these qualities, simplicity, honesty, innocence, sensitivity, are these the qualities of a devotee? These are the simple qualities of a devotee, and we all have them deep inside of us. However, when we come to the material world, all of that pure wholeness gets covered first by Lord Brahma's self-deception and fear of death, and also when we leave the spiritual world, when we leave our real home, we lose we forget who we are. We don't know our spiritual identity. However, inside, we feel some discomfort. We feel some, I'm going to call it, and this is a word we don't use so much in Krishna consciousness, but it's an important word. We get covered with shame. Now, in the Bible, there's a story of Adam and Eve, and they ate from the fruit of the tree, and then they realized, oh, we're naked, and then they became they felt shame. So we get covered with self-deception, but we also get covered with shame. Oh, something's wrong. Like somewhere we know that maybe we did something, like we left Krishna, but we don't really exactly know it. So there's some shame there. So then, we're also bringing with us in this life our past samskaras, which also carry with us a certain sense of shame because we didn't figure it all out in our last lifetime. We're bringing some baggage from our last lifetime that still needs to be worked on, and it's been with us a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And the samskaras awaken when we're very young. When we're very young, we're sensitive and we're looking at the world and we're trying to figure out our place and who are we and what's going on here. And people yell at us and they tease us and they shame us and they tell us what's the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. And we're just trying to figure out our place. But somehow, everybody up here is so much bigger than me and they seem to know what they're doing. And I have no idea what I'm doing or what I'm supposed to do or how to adjust to this environment. And we start to, through our little material mind, we start to identify ourselves. And the first identity we have is based on the self-deception and the shame that something doesn't feel right here. And everybody seems to be fine out there, but I don't feel very fine inside. Something doesn't feel right. It must be me. I must be bad or not good enough. There's something wrong with me. Because something feels wrong, because being a soul in a human machine is quite uncomfortable. So something feels wrong, so we figure, well, it must be me. I must be bad. And we all have this identity that we're inherently bad. It's way deep down inside. But we don't like that feeling. That doesn't feel good. And it feels shameful. So we got to cover it. And we got to cover it with a protective, preventing mechanism. So now we're going to be a good little boy and a good little girl, and we're going to do what our parents want so they don't hit us and yell at us or whatever parents do, and we're going to be good. We're going to be good. But then we start going to school and meeting other people, and it comes out in different phases, sometimes when we're 8, 9, 10, and it continues through school. We start comparing ourselves to other people, so we get covered with another layer of shame. Oh, they're smarter than me, they're better than me, they're stronger than me, they're prettier than me. And that's the comparing persona, but that doesn't feel very good either. So we got to cover that with another layer of shame protection, which is actually just more shame because it's reinforcing the layer underneath. And this is the proving persona. And now we're going to start to find our strength, and I can debate and look at me, I did this or I did that, and now we're going to prove ourselves. But then we come to be around maybe 18, or it could be a little younger if we leave home earlier. But this is the part where we have to figure out now, what am I going to do in my life? Who am I? What am I going to do with my life? What career do I want? What education do I want? And so we become very confused and confronted with now I can't play around anymore. I can't just play around and do sports. Now I got to really figure out who I am and what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out. So I'm confronted. And we don't feel very comfortable being confronted. It's more pain and shame. So we cover that with this layer, which is our producing persona. And we produce results. We become intelligent. We get good grades. We get a good career. We get married, we become a good submissive wife. And this is what we like to show the world, that look, this is my identity. And then we come to Krishna consciousness. And then we paste all of this Krishna consciousness on top of all of this confusion and pain and shame and self-deception. And we think this is who we are. But actually, who we are is way down deep inside. And even Prabhupada talks about we're covered. We're covered. We're covered with layers. And so it behooves us to start looking deep inside, because that's where we really live, in our heart. Consciousness, the subtle body, is what carries us to our next place. We can't carry all of our external, whatever we've done out here, whatever we've accomplished out here, whatever awards we've won, even how many rounds we've chanted. We can't take that external with us. What do we take with us? Our consciousness. How am I behaving towards God brothers and God sisters? How am I functioning when Krishna throws me a test? Am I getting angry? Am I getting frustrated? When we get angry and frustrated, those are parts of us that are inside of us that are kind of showing their heads. But usually what we do when we see them, we compress them inside a little more and keep this hard protective shell around us because we feel shameful to be vulnerable. So it behooves us to start looking deep inside and finding what's going on. What are my pains? What are my sensitivities? What are my emotions? What is going on? What do I believe? What are the beliefs, the self-deceptive beliefs that I have about myself and about life that are reinforced sometimes by Scripture, but they're reinforced in a way that may be an external show and maybe not the real thing. So I just use this prop because it makes it very visual. That poor little soul. This is pretty heavy, actually. It's carrying all this heavy weight around. Now, our life in this world is like constant identity crisis, right? Because we don't really know who we really are. So it's an identity crisis. And all those 8 layers are identities that we identify with, and they're not really us. So the problem is not with these identities, because these identities are kind of like software programming, kind of like apps. They help us to function in the world. They're not exactly bad. However, they can weigh us down. They can have us not seeing clearly because we're seeing through the filters of so many layers. Maybe we don't even see other people clearly, and we're seeing their external, we're not seeing their heart. And it's something that we want to contend with to find out, who am I really? Who am I? And what do I want to identify with? Rather than carrying this around like apps running in the background that are draining our battery and exhausting us, running around trying to prove how good of a devotee I am by doing more and running around and getting less sleep and eating less and stretching ourselves and pushing ourselves and exhausting ourselves. I did it for almost 30 years. And I thought I was a really good devotee because I produced a lot of results. I was a good devotee. And I didn't really get in touch with the deeper parts of me until after 30 years, when I started to peel the layers and to see all of the stuff that was inside of me that was draining my battery, making me sick, making me feel not good enough, and identifying with those parts that just discouraged and depressed me. So we want to start to look at some of those layers. Now, I want to leave some time for questions or comments. I know this isn't usually explained in this way, but I feel like sometimes visuals are very helpful. And we talk about the false ego. We talk about it, but it's like a big, ominous cloud. I don't even know where to start, so forget it. And then maybe it peeks its head up once in a while like a little tip of the iceberg. Oh yeah, I have a little false ego, but then we kind of like push it down and cover it over again, and everything's fine until it's not. So I've kind of broken it down into a lot of smaller pieces so that we can start to look at the different parts of misidentification that we have, which affect how we are and affect our consciousness. So any thoughts, any corrections, any challenging questions or arguments or anything? Go ahead. Do we have a microphone? Thank you. Thanks.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, like what you said, that we have so much of layers of our perceptions or self-perception what we have made. So when we say we are knowing ourselves, is that removing that layer permanently or just going inside the layers, like we are seeing from the outside, the camera is outside, now we are going inside and inside and inside?
We can see these parts of us, and it's not that they necessarily completely go away, because we do need them to operate. I'm operating on a certain system. I don't know who I am as a soul, so we're operating. However, we don't take the decisions and the beliefs of the different parts so seriously. We don't judge ourselves by, exactly how we are, but we use the soul kind of as a witness. Krishna's in our heart as a witness. We start witnessing, what am I doing? Why am I doing that? What do I get out of that? I must get some payoff out of yelling at people. What do I get? And what's the cost of me doing that? And is that what I'm really committed to? And is that who I really am? And is that who I want to continue to be? And then we can start practicing new behaviors which more align with our soul self. And we start practicing them. And as we practice them, we can more easily put these other parts to the side. We can put them to the side, and then we can be free of them. Now, they may immediately come back after 5 minutes, and then we just continually keep putting them aside. It's kind of like what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says, how are we going to ever control the mind? And Krishna says, by constant practice and detachment. So we see the persona, and we detach from it momentarily. We practice that detachment in the moment. Don't take it so seriously, and start to just reflect and think, well, what would I really like to say here? What is it that I'm trying to say? What am I really upset about? How can I express myself in a way that doesn't create more pain for other people out here? How can I not blast people, even if I'm really frustrated inside? How can I express, what's going on for me and what I need in a way that doesn't harm others? And how am I harming myself? Shame is sometimes we shame ourselves and we harm ourselves. And we want to get to a place of wholeness and healing, and we can't get there by hurting ourselves. You don't heal and continue to hurt yourself at the same time. Was that an okay answer? Yeah. There's one here. I want to make sure if there's any woman. Do any women have any questions? Okay. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much for this wonderful and insightful class. Mataji, my question is that...
Put the microphone close,
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
and talk a little slow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mataji, my question is that just like you were removing the layers of this, so we can see from here that external help is needed to dive deep into ourselves to really know who we are. So some external help is needed, as we can see from this example. So, it's not fully in our control to free ourselves. It's not fully. So what is on our part? What we can do? Because we can't free ourselves from this illusion.
Well, one really powerful tool that we can do is to be curious. Oh, why do I keep saying that? Why do I keep doing that? What is that? What is that? What's the payoff for me doing that? Just being curious. A lot of times we come to Krishna consciousness, and I myself came to Krishna consciousness, and you read the Bhagavad Gita, and this is the absolute truth. This is so great. I have the truth now. I know the truth. This is so great. It gives us so much security. It feels so good. In the scope of all of knowledge, how much do you think we know? All of knowledge. How much? How much? Maybe a dot. Yeah. But we become so attached to knowing, and that can sometimes impede our growing. So curiosity opens us up to seeing things that we don't see with our cognitive part of our brain. Because the cognitive brain is the figuring out part, and I'm going to fix it. And all of these layers are a fix. I don't like that part, so I need to cover it. And now that part isn't sufficient to have me function in the world. I cover it with another layer. So we're constantly trying to fix ourselves and make ourselves better. And actually, there's nothing to fix. We need to start taking off the heavy layers. So the external help can come from people who stimulate things from inside of us. Somebody does something, and something comes up from the inside of us and comes out, and maybe it might even come out of our mouth. Well, there you go. You get to see something. Oh, why did I respond in that way? What was I feeling? Am I pointing a finger at the person saying, you did this to me? Am I blaming another person? Or am I using that as like, oh, wow, there's some sore spots inside of me, and that person touched one. And are we curious about that? Or are we blaming and distracting the attention and putting it out here? So what we can do when we stop pointing fingers and stop blaming others, we can start to take personal responsibility. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in fact, says that when we see faults in others, what can we do? We can turn around and start seeing what's going on inside of us. No one can harm us unless we harm ourselves. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that. And we often are harming ourselves. We're shaming ourselves. We're denying ourselves. We're neglecting ourselves. We're trying to prove ourselves, and we're neglecting that little soul in there that's suffocating because it's covered by so many layers. So we can be curious, and we can be grateful when things pop up. Oh, there's something for me to look at. But usually when something pops up, we don't like it, whoosh, we push it down and we suppress it. Doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. And it can eat away at us from the inside for a long time until maybe we get physically sick. You all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Madhuri, I have one follow-up question, if you allow.
Let's give somebody else a chance, but then you can ask another question. Go ahead. You want to ask a question? Any ladies wanted to ask a question? If not, I'll be here after class for a little bit. So go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Haribol. Yes.
So I have a question, like what are the practical suggestions and like things by which we can identify our this psychophysical nature, like this is what I am inside, and I segregate it from my external self.
Start to pay attention, start to notice, what you do repetitively. Like I'm a recovering workaholic, so I tend to work hard. That's one of my coverings. It helped me survive in my childhood. So you just start noticing, what am I doing? What am I doing? What do I do repeatedly? What am I telling myself repeatedly? Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, this is right. This is wrong. So start to notice the voices in your head that keep repeating. The repetitive voices are all part of the coverings. So start noticing the repetitive voices.
Yeah, but in one sense, one can also say, like, when we are seeing that nature of ourselves, and when we say that we have to accept those to avoid the shame, etc.
We have to accept those what?
When you are saying that we have to accept that nature of ours.
We don't have to accept it. Well, yes, accepting it, yes, seeing it for what it is. It's a covering. The modes of material nature are here. They're impacting us. They're affecting us. But they're not just affecting us out here, like the smog. They're affecting us inside, and we're kind of even producing more material energy sometimes in our own head and the way we talk to ourselves, our self-talk. What am I telling myself? How do I talk to myself? Am I shaming myself? Oh my God, you're so stupid. Oh, you did it again, you failed. For man, dishonor is worse than death. It's hard to look at these layers. It's hard to open up and admit that, because it feels like I'm going to die. This is me. If I take this apart and dismantle this, it's like death. And it does feel sometimes very confronting, and so we just don't bother looking at it. So just be curious. What am I telling myself? Why did I do that? What was I thinking? What was going on inside of me? I have a couple of books that I've written. I only have 3 copies of the books. So, I mean, it describes it a little bit more in detail. So
one more thing, like while identifying that things of ours, there should also be a scope of raising beyond those, like raising this psychophysical nature, that should also be coming into the picture. So how to fit that into because this, like, we are doing bhakti, and one of the things which is taught is that bhakti can raise us beyond our psychophysical nature. So while accepting all this practical thing, which is really very much needed, how to see this with the lens of bhakti also, like, which aims to raise ourselves from this sadhana perspective.
Bhakti is Radharani. Bhakti is meant to melt our heart. And our heart's pretty deep inside. And our soul, our heart and soul is deep inside. So bhakti is meant to help us uncover and discover our real self. So we can start looking at the qualities of a devotee, and we can pick one quality and try to practice that quality 24/7 for 1 week and see if you can do it. Start exercising those inner muscles a little at a time. And then when you can't exercise them, I guess I need some more exercise in that area. So you can start practicing. But a lot of times when we exercise, we're trying to put more things on top. A lot of times that's what we're doing. That's what I did. I came to Krishna consciousness, and I wanted to paste the absolute truth on top of all of these personas that aren't really me. And when I paste something on top, it's just another layer that covers all the other layers. So bhakti helps to bring up and expose the layers. And a lot of times when we see them, oh my gosh, that shouldn't be there, and we push it back down. Bhakti, the process of bhakti is like making ghee. When we make ghee, we turn the heat on very low heat. It takes a long time to make ghee nicely. If you turn it on too high, too fast, you burn it. So when we turn on our Krishna consciousness too high and too fast, we get burnt and we leave. So it's a gradual process. You turn on the heat. And then what comes up when you make ghee? What comes up to the top? What is it? What comes up to the top? When you make ghee, who's made ghee here? What comes up? What? I'm sorry? The dirt? The impurities. The impurities come up. So when we chant and we engage in the process of bhakti, the impurities will come up. There they are in front of our face. But when we see those impurities, especially if they come up after 10, 20, 30 years, oh my gosh, those shouldn't be there. And we stir them back in. And we wonder, what's taking so long? Why am I not getting ghee? Why am I not being purified? We have to somehow be able to acknowledge those and move them to the side. And it's a lifelong process. It's not a quick fix. All of these layers are attempts to quick fix what we think is wrong with us and Krishna consciousness is to get us to the point that we realize these are not us and there's nothing wrong with me. But I'm identifying with all these things, and that's why I think there's something wrong with me. And the only thing that doesn't work is that I'm identifying with all of this. So we need to learn how to constant practice and detachment from who we think we are that we aren't. I know you all have important work to do and schedules, and I want to honor your time. I don't know what time does class end at 9 sharply? Who's the boss here? I'm sorry? Till what time? 9:15. Okay. So we have time for a few more questions. You want to ask a question? You want to ask a question? You want to ask a question? Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So as you mentioned that there are several coverings, and one of those coverings are the traits that we are not even aware of, and some of the traits we are aware of.
Yeah.
And if there are confrontational traits that we have within ourselves, but we are not comfortable of those traits being exposed to other people.
Exactly, for sure.
And one of the qualities of a child that you mentioned is simplicity, and the child has nothing, hidden things, no secrets.
Exactly.
And one of the covering is that we have confrontational traits and we are not comfortable of those traits being exposed to the people. So
Right.
how can we progress?
Good point. So we want to take one thing at a time. And we don't necessarily want to expose our deepest, darkest secrets with everybody. We need to find a person who can hold a space for us non-judgmentally, no shame. It's really, really hard sometimes to find those spaces. It was hard for me to find them sometimes within Krishna consciousness, because sometimes there's a bit of shame propagating in our movement and judgment. And we impose it upon ourselves, and we judge ourselves and compare ourselves, and there's a lot of shame and judgment in the world and even in Krishna consciousness. That shame is a part of the material energy. It's part of the covering. Now, if we can find somebody, a committed listener, who we know will not share whatever we say with them, they'll just hold space for us like a sounding board that we can speak out. One way to start that's safe is to journal and to write things down in a journal and start exposing it at least to yourself and saying, and I see that, and oh, why am I feeling that? Oh, dear Lord Krishna, help me to unravel this mess. Help me to find my real self. And so praying, journaling, those are good preliminary things. And then finding someone who can hold space non-judgmentally. Compassion, empathy. Shame survives in secrecy, silence, and judgment. That perpetuates shame. There's only one antidote to shame, and that's empathy. Empathy is, oh my gosh, yeah, you're really going through a really hard time now. Can we have empathy for ourselves and others? It is the most challenging birth to be a soul in a human machine. It is challenging. Just for any human being. You see everybody out there. Why are they on intoxications? Because it's so painful. It's so challenging. They gotta take a painkiller because it's so painful. So we come to Krishna consciousness, and we're kind of adding another layer of the possibility of shame, because now the bar is this high. At least out there, maybe the bar is only this high, and I still can't make it, but now we've raised the bar this high. So there's much more of a chance for shaming ourselves. So working on how am I self-shaming? Am I shaming others? Am I able to be with a person non-judgmentally? Am I able to be with myself non-judgmentally, and just look at what I'm doing as something that I'm doing, as a habit that I have, rather than making it mean I am such a bad, low, blah, blah, blah. If you can start doing those things, stop pointing fingers, blaming others, start looking inside. Those are big things. Journaling. Just begin. Just begin to be a little curious. And if you really want to know, Krishna will show you. But usually, I think I'll do that a little later. Maybe when I'm a little older, I'll do that. Not right now. I'm too busy. I have too many important things to do. I think I'll wait. That doesn't feel too good. I don't think I want to look at that. It's really up to our desire. If you want to know, and you write, and you journal, and you're curious, and you really want to know, Krishna will help you. And he will send people who are not judgmental that you can talk to. But if you don't want to know, okay. Do what you're doing. You can do that for as long as you want to do that. Krishna doesn't force. Krishna does not shame, and he does not force. He doesn't force Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, and he doesn't shame him. He says, okay, I've presented all the facts. You decide what you want to do. There is no force. Prabhupada didn't force us. Prabhupada even said, I can't force you. You're trying so hard. You're doing the best you can. I can't force you. He encouraged us. He was our cheerleader. He was our coach. He encouraged us. Sometimes he might have pointed out something, a little pinch, but he did not shame us, and he did not identify us, even if we made a mistake, and he said, sit properly. It wasn't that he was shaming us. He was trying to help us. But we started shaming ourselves. So if we can stop shaming ourselves, that's a huge breakthrough. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's go back to his question, because we cut him off. And then, oh, there's a question back there. Okay, let's take, thank you. I can't see that far because my eyes aren't so great. So thank you for pointing that out.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please
Hare
accept my humble pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I have one small question that...
Talk slow.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
slow.
Mataji, sometime I came in Krishna consciousness to
You came to Krishna consciousness to
overcome my...
overcome.
I will ask personally, Mataji.
Okay, you came to Krishna consciousness to overcome. Most of us came to Krishna consciousness because we were suffering and we wanted to overcome our pain.
I will ask personally.
Okay, you asked personally. All right. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you so much for giving me again opportunity. My Mataji, my question is like that external help that you were telling. Like in this case, the good point, the good quality in this case was that this devotee doll has complete surrender. You were externally helping it, and it was having complete surrender to you. It has no free will. But with me, I have one thing is that I have free will. The bigger problem is I misuse it. So
The bigger problem is you what?
I misuse my free will. So if some external help is also coming, I can't fully surrender myself like this devotee doll, and I misuse my free will, and I don't get the desired result.
Okay. So Krishna consciousness is a practice. When we misuse our independence and we say, okay, that didn't work. I misused my independence and that didn't work. I didn't really like the result I got. Can I try something different? We don't have to beat ourselves up. We are always misusing our independence. We're here in this world because we misused our independence. We don't have to beat ourselves. We just have to recognize, oh, that didn't work. Okay, let me try something else. We don't have to beat ourselves up. That doesn't help us. That doesn't encourage us. It actually makes us feel worse. Ah, my gosh, I've been in this movement 30 years and I'm still. I wanted to kill myself after 30 years because I thought, man, I should be a pure devotee by now. I did all the right things. Why, Krishna? What? I did all the right things. I didn't recognize that I had stirred in all those things, kept stirring them and suppressing them and pushing them down. So I did it for 30 years. And then I realized I'm hurting myself. So it's a gradual process, and you try something and you see what works and you see what doesn't work, and then you practice something new. But I can tell you, shaming does not work. It's got short-term results and long-term negative consequences. It prolongs the process. Shame is a killer. So we want to notice, how am I shaming myself? How am I hurting myself? We can't hurt ourselves and have enough energy to uplift ourselves, or to find ourselves, rather, to find ourselves. Okay, last question. I don't know. Did you already ask a question? Okay, so let's let him have a chance. Last question.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I have a question that what to do when our seniors expect something from us that we are unable to fulfill. So should we make that protective layer on us, or we should confront or ask the seniors that I can't do this at the particular moment or this time?
I think if we started making requests of our seniors and saying, this is too much for me, I can't do this right now, and had the courage to say that, and if everybody started saying that to their seniors, maybe the expectations would be lowered a little bit. However, if we keep on pushing and pushing ourselves, we are training people that if you just push me enough, I'll do it. You push me enough, if you keep pushing me enough, I'll do it, until I can't do it anymore and I leave the temple. It's short-term results, long-term negative effects. Pushing, forcing. Now, I'm not saying we just lay around and just think about ourselves, and I'm not saying that. However, there needs to be time when we reflect. There needs to be safe spaces where we can unravel some of our deepest concerns. And if we tell our senior, I'm not able to do that, and we get shamed, ouch, that hurts. So if we as a movement can start to put the shame aside, we may have a different kind of movement and different relationships with one another. And it might be much more connecting. After all, Krishna doesn't need our perfection because he already made us whole and complete. He doesn't need our perfection. He wants our connection. He wants our connection. So even if I'm having a hard time, I can connect to Krishna and pray and say, oh Krishna, when will that day be mine when I can actually think of you? When will this addiction that I have, this habit that I have, when will I be able to love you as much as I love this addiction? And pray like that. And it may take time, but Krishna will fulfill our desire when we're ready for it. I'm noticing the time. I'll stay for a little longer after the class. I'll just show you that I have 3 sets of these books only. 3 sets. And you kind of have to buy the set to get the whole picture. So if anybody wants the sets, I just have 3, and the set is 2,000 rupees for the set. I only have 3 sets. But thank you so much for your questions, for your time, for your attention, for your full participation. And I offer my obeisances to all of you, souls in this material bodies and in Krishna consciousness, really struggling and really working your way out. Vanchakalpatubhyascha kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Her Grace Sukhma Mataji ki jai. Mataji, we are very, very thankful to you for such a deep, very practical, much required. Thank you for taking us deep inside ourselves. Thank you. Hare Krishna. We like to thank Mataji by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.